Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everyone to another GYLS Momentum session. This week we've got one of the newly accepted youth coaches, Nick Marino. Congratulations, dude, for getting accepted.
Thanks, man.
This is actually his second session. He's already done one too, kind of like Rachel. He did one and then he's like, I have to do one again. This is too awesome. So he's going to be talking to us about relationships. Without further ado, here he is.
Hey, what's up, guys? Cool. So, basically, the topic that I'm talking about today is how to transform your not so good relationships into some of your best relationships. And the way I'm going to talk to you about it is I just want to share a couple of stories that I have, or two experiences that I've had in my life. Now, before I actually get into those stories, I want to just first address, relationships. We're surrounded by them every day. We all have some kind of relationship, whether it be a friend, family member, maybe a rock, or an inanimate object, or, an animal. There's a cat right here, that's why I was looking over here. But basically, we have good relationships and we have some really shitty relationships too in our lives. And a lot of what I've been hearing is, people saying that they need to get rid of those relationships, the ones that, are toxic or the ones that don't benefit you. And I'd like to say that, that isn't always true. I don't think that you should get rid of the people in your life that, are toxic. If they've been in your life for such a long time, they've been in your life for such a long time for a reason. You care about them, you love them. These are your friends or your family members. And, friends and families are two different things. Your friends you can choose, and your family, that's your family, But what I'm trying to get at is you don't have to cut off people from your life. I used to think that is what you had to do. Most people that watch these momentum sessions are from the Global Youth Leadership Summit. But who knows? Maybe there's some people that are watching this that don't know what that is. Basically, it's a giant leadership summit that's held in San Diego once a year, where a group of teenagers attend, and we talk about leadership skills and life skills, and a lot of teenagers change their lives for the better and break through boundaries. So it's a really powerful place. So after coming back from an event like that, you come home and you return, and people are just like, so how was your leadership summit, or how is your happy camp, or they make fun of you, they say all these things, they don't understand. Or maybe you come back from some really powerful event, or you read something and then you've grown in some way, you've evolved from the standards that you used to live by, and you come back, your friends have stayed the same, or your family has stayed the same, and they don't really understand or appreciate, where you're coming from, or what you've done, how you've grown. And that can be difficult sometimes, to allow them to understand you or appreciate you. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just laugh or criticize, and you feel hurt because of it. So what do? You cut them off. You say, I don't even need these people because I'm going to live by a higher standard and not have these people in my life because they're toxic and blah, blah, blah. Screw them. I need better friends who understand me and stuff and whatnot. And yes, that is good. That is good to do. You could do that. I've done that. I have that. I have friends. Sergio over here, he's a great friend of mine. We have this huge peer group that we developed from this leadership summit. And it's awesome to have those friends. And we also have our other friends. We also have our other family, the other people that are not part of this environment, that, are the ones that are different. And just because they're different doesn't mean, that you should push them away or not talk to them anymore. And when I talk about these type of people, these different people, I'm talking about your friends that maybe you've known for a really long time. How many of you know someone in your life that you probably have been friends with them since you were like kids, for like years maybe? Or maybe you're just so close with this person, right? How many of you have a relationship with someone, whether it be a friend or a family member, that you were really close with, and then you distanced yourself from them? Maybe because you started having different values and beliefs, or maybe because they did something that caused you to hate them, or not like them anymore, or not indulge in that relationship anymore. Maybe they were doing something to you that was hurting you. Or perhaps you simply just thought that the best thing that you could do is not have them in your life anymore. Whatever the case may be. I'm saying, not with every single relationship, the ones that matter, the ones that maybe you feel like you have a connection towards, that no matter how far you try to get away from it, you just feel like a magnet. You can't get away from it. You feel like you really want to stay with this person. And that's not a bad thing. Don't hurt yourself, and don't tell yourself, oh, why do I keep going back with this person? Blah. It's not always a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing that you feel that, because you love that person. That's essentially what it is. You just care so much. You have such a heart for this person in particular. And I want to share with you how that you could turn that into something, and that it doesn't always have to be pain and suffering and cutting the person off, because you have evolved. You are more mature, or maybe you've learned some new things. You just don't want to put yourself in that with that person anymore. I'm saying that you don't have to have that option anymore. There's more options that are empowering, that can help you out, and that can make a much better, more fulfilling relationship. My personal belief is that you could create an amazing relationship when you drop the ego, when you let go of yourself for a little bit and make it about them. It takes a huge level of conscious thinking to do that, because what you're doing is you're saying that no matter what, I'm going to just understand and appreciate this human being for who they are. No matter what, they can murder my children and I will still love them. That's foreign. That's ridiculous. That's like alien. Who would think like that? And there's power in that. There's power in that, because when you do that, first of all, when you judge someone, when you place misunderstanding on them, and when you criticize someone, you're putting a label on them. You're putting them in a box, essentially. That's what you're doing. When you judge someone, you put them in a box, and they can feel it, and they can't get out of that box. And you can't really influence them. You can't really do anything with them, So if you have someone in your life that's toxic, or if they're doing something that you can't feel connection towards and you want them to change, first thing you got to do is stop judging them, because that's not helping you or him or her or whatever. It's not going to do anything for you. But that's not the topic. The topic that I want to share is basically loving and understanding someone else. I think that's really huge. A lot of people would agree with me, but not a people actually follow this advice. They'll say, I'm sure you're watching this and you're thinking, wow, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I definitely should understand and appreciate people and love them. No, yeah, 100%. That makes so much sense. But then in your real life, you probably already judge people. You probably already do the opposite. And from time to time, I'm sure that happens. We're human beings. We're not always understanding and loving. Sometimes we get a little angry. Sometimes we want to hate somebody, Sometimes those emotions come out of us. And That's human. That's part of life. Not saying that it's the most empowering thing to do constantly, which is, something to work on. But understanding and appreciating someone else is really, really crucial and really important. Now, what I want to talk about is with friends. Not all your friends have to be on the same page. You don't have to have all your friends understand you to have an incredible relationship with you. You don't have to have everybody have the same values and beliefs as you do, or the same human needs as you do. You don't have to be all with the same mindset. In fact, my belief is that the best relationships come from the differences that happen, the differences in the relationship, when people have those different values and beliefs. I have an incredible peer group here, and Sergio, we don't all think the exact same. We don't all have the same values and beliefs. We don't all have the same human needs, but we're all amazing friends. If you look at any amazing peer group or any power team or whatever company, doesn't matter. A lot of great things emerge from those differences. My belief is that instead of allowing those differences to break you and put you down and make you feel like, man, I hate all this person, we're never understanding each other and we're always arguing and all that stuff. Instead of going into that mindset, use it for yourself to grow off of. Listen to what they're saying and grow off of it. How can you learn from that? How can you take that and add it to what you have and give to them? It's just a process of giving and sharing. Don't look at it like it's putting you down. Look at it like, they're sharing you something. They're giving you some information or some different perspective. We all have different perspective. And I have some really good experiences and stories that I can share with you to further, prove this point. Now I'm going to tell you the two examples, the two experiences that I've had. So the first one I want to talk about is with my friends. I had two or three. I'm still hanging out with two of them. The other one, I don't hang out as much just because he's not. I don't know where he is in life. But basically, the three of us essentially. I'll tell you their names too, just so it's better for you to understand each one. So one of them, his name is Tyler. Another one, his name is Andre. And the last one, his name is Johnny. These three amigos of mine. We've been friends. I've known Andre since preschool. Andre and Johnny I've known since preschool. And Tyler, I actually met him through Xbox Live, through video games. And we've been friends for like 7 years through Xbox, since we were like little kids with high-pitched voices playing Halo. And we've been friends, since those days, and those are some really good times. But I've known these three people for like almost my whole life, and we've clashed so many times. And oh my God, we're not the same. We have nothing. We have a lot in common, but we have a lot that's not in common at all. So with these three people, oh man, when I first was friends with these guys, we would always get into these arguments. It was insane. I got into huge fights with Tyler especially. He's a really smart kid, and he would get into these really heated debates with me, and we would just go off almost every week. Constantly fighting. So with Andre and Johnny, I mean, they're cool too. But what I'm trying to say is, like, they're not the most productive people on the planet. They play a lot of video games, and when they have like free time, they just like to relax and play video games and stuff. Tyler is a little bit more outgoing. Andre just plays video games most of the time, and Johnny, he also plays video games, but he's also kind of outdoor. He's a little bit outgoing as well. Now, when I went to this leadership summit, GYLS, when I came back, obviously, first thing I did was I told it to Tyler and the rest of them about my experience and stuff. And when I told them about my experience, I was so shocked because they did not care at all. I went to them and I said, "Oh my God, this event was amazing. I learned so much. I broke a board, all this stuff." And he's like, "Wow, I don't believe that. There's no way you could break through a wooden board." And they were just like, they didn't agree with anything that I was saying. They were pretty much against everything that I talked about, and they kind of like found a way to argue about what I was all the experiences I've learned, and found like some kind of counter argument to it. So I get into these horrible debates with them, and like let's say we have a sleepover or something, and some of this is my fault, I'm not gonna lie, but we would have a sleepover and I would bring up a topic, or a topic would come up, and it would be something like relationships. And then I would say something like, relationships, the crazy thing about them is like there's masculine and feminine energy, and you need polarity in a relationship, or else there's no intimacy, and that's why people like have affairs and stuff. I'll say something like that, something for that I learned, and then they'll take it and they'll say, What's that? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Tyler will literally just say it, like, be very blunt. He'll just literally insult me in my face, and it's like, it's just a slap. It's like, wow, why the hell? Why is he such an asshole? So I would say something that I've learned from the books that I've read or the seminars that I've attended and all this stuff, and they would negate it completely. I get into these huge arguments with them about it. It'd be really bad. I feel really angry and resentful towards it and stuff. Another thing is like, let's say, after going to GYLS, I kept evolving. I kept learning some things. I started learning more about myself, and I started developing more as a human being. So I thought, okay, I'm starting to grow, and I want to be around people that are, growing at my pace or higher, so I can learn off of them, high standards, all this stuff. So I don't want to be around these people anymore because I get into so many arguments with them. Obviously, it's not the best thing for me. Me. It's all about me. I don't want to be put down, all this stuff. I need to cut them out of my life. I need to get new friends. That's what I used to think. Why now? I mean, it's just so obvious why that's not the best. It's not the best option. Why do I have to do that? Obviously, I've been with these people for over 8 years. Two of them I've known since preschool. We've been friends for that long for a reason. You're not with a person for that long because you hated them and you had no choice but this. It makes no sense. I hate this person. If you didn't like them in the beginning, you wouldn't even be friends with them. There's a reason why you were friends with them. I'm sure in that relationship you had great times, great memories together. There was a reason why you said, I want to be with that person, And something fell off. Now, don't quote me on this. I'm not saying every relationship that's been that, my parents, for example, they were married for like 27 years or something like that, and then they got a divorce. Lots of relationships are like that. But that's because that's an entirely different subject. That's more of like the intimacy, more about things within the relationship of like two partners, the intimate part of it. That's a completely different story. But when I'm talking about friends or family members that you've known for that long, there's a reason why you guys were together. There's some love there. There's some connection. You had some stuff in common that you guys shared together, and there's a reason why they're your friend. And when you have those arguments, believe it or not, that, in my opinion, my belief is that those arguments are what makes the relationship even stronger. Because if you think about it, well, for me in my life, most of my relationships where I've had arguments with a person, that means that relationship is probably one of my strongest ones, because you love that person so much that you're willing to be vulnerable and share actually what you're thinking and what you're feeling with that person. So when you have those arguments, that means that you are being you with that person. And if you're being you and they're being you, that's a powerful relationship right there. You're both being vulnerable. You're both living in your identity, sharing exactly how you feel. It sounds to me like that's a strong relationship that you've created. You really love that person if you're willing to expose yourself that much to them. So now, with these people, I had an experience in during last Christmas with my family. We had a family reunion, and I learned something really valuable during that trip about understanding and appreciating someone else's world. And I learned about this principle where first seek to understand, then to be understood. And I was like, what is that? How does that apply? I want them to understand me. How is it going to work if I understand them first if they never understand me? So I applied this when I came home with these friends. Like I said, I didn't really want to hang out with them, but they invited me to go and hang out with them. And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to hang out with them. And I was really scared at first because I thought, wow, man, I really don't want to hang out with these guys. We're going to get into this huge fight, all this stuff. It's going to get really bad really quick. And I'm driving there, and I'm really scared. I'm really nervous to hang out with Tyler and Andre. Johnny wasn't there, but Tyler and Andre were. I was really scared to hang out with them. I was driving in my car, and my heart was beating fast because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if this was the right thing to do. I was like stuck. I was like, I don't know if I want to cut them off or I want to keep them in my life. And I kept telling myself that, try it out. Just try it out. Just apply this principle that you just learned. And I started telling myself that, great relationships. My most powerful relationships are the ones that have differences in them. Like the peer group that I have here. So I kept telling myself that. So I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to hang out with these guys. And when I hanged out with them, I tried and I applied this principle. And something really crazy happened. I got there, and the entire time, like, something I would always do is I would tell someone everything, right? Just tell them everything that I've experienced. I haven't seen these guys in like 5 months. My plan was to just shove 5 months of information down their throat in about 1 day. Just take a giant shit on their face. That was my plan. That was my approach. I thought that would be the best thing to do. Right? But, then I thought, after some careful thought processing, I'm like, that probably isn't the best idea, So I tried something else. I just went there and I made it about them the whole time. I went to Tyler's house, and I just asked him how did his experience go, and I just asked him how he had his time, his 5 months, what did he do, all this stuff. I wanted to just make it about him the whole time. I hanged out with him and Andre for like a week, and I didn't even talk about what I did in like the time that we didn't see each other. I barely even said anything about it. I just made it about them the whole time, and I just made it about understanding them and appreciating them and listening to them and making it about them, and that's it. That's all I did. And from just that alone, I felt so fulfilled. Like I felt like I had so much fun. We didn't argue at all. Instead of like, and that's the beautiful thing, is that people don't have to understand you. People don't have to always understand where you're coming from. People don't always have to listen to your story to have a great relationship. Most people think that, the best friends in life are the ones that, you could talk to about everything and anything and all this stuff. And, that's true. But, you don't have to have that. What I did was I just was in the moment, was present in the moment. We were in a house playing video games, staying up all night, eating food, and just having a good time. And I just focused on the moment, and whatever came up in the moment, I would talk about those things, and we would talk about it collectively. Like, if something in the video game happened, we would talk about it and laugh and enjoy ourselves, and that's it. That's all that mattered. It's just that's just it. Be present in the moment with these people. Understand them, love them. Don't make it about yourself. And then after that, I just had the most amazing time. And you know, let's say you do have somebody in your life that's toxic. Maybe somebody in your life that smokes cigarettes, or keeps hanging out with the wrong people, and you can't associate yourself with them because they keep doing that. Listen, what is your outcome? Why are what is your outcome? Do you want to have an incredible relationship with this person? Do you want to continue to be there what is your outcome? Because I'm sure that your outcome isn't to change. Your outcome isn't to make sure they're like the way you want them to be. Your outcome is probably to love them so that you have a great relationship. Then do that. Focus on the outcome. You don't have to change them. That's who they are. If they don't want to change, fine. Don't let it ruin your life. Don't let it get to your heart or your head. If they don't want to change, that's fine. They ask you for advice, you give it to them, and they don't follow it, fine. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. If they don't want to change, that's fine. Okay? Don't let it get to you, because that's not the point. The point is just to have a great relationship. You can still do it even with that. You can still do it because you don't need that. You don't need to have them change so that you can have that. And a lot of people might say, that's not true. And I want to say that, sometimes it can get really hard sometimes. Your relationships can get really bad. And, something really beautiful is that when you do that, all you do is understand somebody and appreciate them, like really understand and appreciate. I don't mean like, oh yeah, I understand them, they're like that, yeah. No, I mean like really love them for who they are, really love them for who they are. When you do that, and you do that fully, 100%, and you commit to that, 9 times out of 10, almost every time, they will become influenced of you. You don't have to say anything. You just have to be you, be yourself, produce results, do actions, and they will watch you, and they will become influenced, and they will change on their own. It may not happen right away. It may happen in the future. And don't be like, oh, why aren't they changing right away? All this stuff. If you plant a seed, you're not going to see a tree the very next day. It takes time. So that's one little thing. But again, don't make that your outcome. Don't make that your outcome. Let that be part of the process. Don't let that be your outcome. Your outcome should never be, I'm going to change this person, because you're not going to have a good relationship. You're going to have this expectation. You're going to be disappointed the rest of your life, and you're going to hate yourself. Why do that? Why do that? There's so much already there. There's so much. That's just a part of them. Look at it like it's just a part of who they are. Like their hand, their arm, or their leg, or their face. That's just who they are. Look at it like that. If they want to change, they will change. They will come to you, ask for advice. They will take it. They will change. Don't pressure people, put things onto people when they don't want it, because they don't want it. That's what I've learned. This is my belief. Again, all of this is my own opinion, my belief, my experiences. It's helped me. It's helped me create some really powerful relationships in my life. So these group of guys, I love them to death now. I used to hate them, and now I love them. They just got back. We finished school for the summer, and I'm going to hang out with them during July, and I'm so excited to hang out with these guys. I am literally so excited to just hang out, just do crazy stuff with them, and just really have a good time. I love these guys to death. I really do. And it's all because of what I'm sharing with you. It's all because my outcome is to just make that an amazing relationship, just to go in with love and understanding and appreciation, and just to be in the moment. Be in the moment with them and everything. And if they want to change, if they want to do something differently, I can share my advice, I can share what I've learned, but only when they ask, only when they're willing to do it. Or, you influence them from your actions. Don't less talking, more doing. Be yourself, do you. If you go out to eat, they order junk food, you order something healthy, and you continuously do that, maybe one day they'll ask, why do you keep getting that healthy choice? And they actually want to know. And you tell them, and then they start changing. It doesn't happen it doesn't happen every time. It takes time. That's my first story. The second one is a little bit more powerful, a little bit more like personal. It has to do with family. So family, okay? Maybe you have a relationship in your family. Oh shit. This person you can't get rid of. Oh shit, they're your family. What are you gonna do? Oh no, right? You have that drunk uncle or that drugged up dad, whatever. It's just someone's in there that's really toxic and they're your family. Fuck, what do you do? So all right, so my dad, all right, I hated him. I hated him for so long. We got into so many arguments. And I constantly would tell him, he's not a dad. I would constantly have this belief that he's not a dad. He's not dad like I want him to be. He wasn't the father that I really wanted him to be. He wasn't living by the expectation that I really wanted. He would yell at me, and we'd get into this arguments, and he'd call me really skinny and flat and all this stuff, and he'd throw things at me and get mad and all this stuff and have a short temper, and get into these arguments with my mom, and it was very difficult to understand and interpret, and I did not like him at all. I didn't like the vibe that I was getting from him. I really didn't like him. And my mom would tell me all these stories about him, and I would, there was just so much stuff about this guy that it just made it so hard to really love him, to really like him. I did not like him at all. I hated it. Like coming home from school, and I was required to tell him hi, or I was required to tell him I love you. I was required. He would make it a requirement. And I was like, what an asshole. Like, wow, what a douchebag that he does that to me. That, I have to do that. And it's like he would take me, let's say, to the hospital, and I have to tell him that I really appreciate it, that I love him or whatever. And my belief was, a father should just do that without that. You shouldn't have to tell your family thank you or I love you or thank you when they do something like that. They're your family. They're supposed to do that. That was my belief, So I really didn't like this guy. He would get into arguments with my mom. Like I said, they're divorced, and they were still living together. I didn't really understand that. And my family, my parents would clash almost every night. So it would really make the image of my father worse and worse. Then there was a period when I really liked my dad. And that was the period when I actually asked him about himself. I actually took some time to understand and appreciate him because my uncle told me that, and I did that. And then all of a sudden I started liking my dad. We started talking about some things. And then towards at one point, he shared with me some advice. I didn't really like it. We got into this huge fight, and then we stopped sharing those personal stories. So we were selling the house at one point, my old house. We were selling it. And like I said, my mom and dad were divorced, and they were still living together because of financial things. My dad was paying for the house, all these little financial weird things, but they were still talking to each other and hanging out and all this stuff. It was really weird. I didn't understand. So my dad was trying to sell this house and everything, and then we finally sold the house. So we were moving out. We were moving all the things, and then around that process, I remember I raised my voice with my mom a little bit, and my dad came in the room, and he said, "Don't talk to your mother that way." And I'm like, "Oh, you're one to talk, right?" And then I got into this huge fight with my dad, and I called him an asshole. And then he got really mad, and he stormed back in the room, and he threw a remote at me, and he was going to punch me. It got really heated. And then I got up and I was like, what is wrong with you? Oh, I hate you, all this stuff. My mom came in and started yelling at him. I'm like, you're a horrible father. Sorry excuse for dad. Go to hell, all this shit. Yelling at him, right? You know, it just got really heated. It was really bad. Huge argument. After that day, oh my God, we didn't even talk for like 3 weeks. We were just ignoring each other constantly. He would look at me and look the other way in the house. Like it was so much tension. It was ridiculous. We didn't talk to each other at all. So we're in the final stages of moving this house, and the house is completely empty. Some days I'm in the house with my mom moving things. Other days my dad is there. Some days I didn't see him in the house. Other days I did because we were just moving. He was going to his apartment. We were going to ours, and we barely. The only times we really saw each other were when we were in this house. So my dad, I'm with my dad during this one day. It's just me and him in the house. I'm picking up a few things. He's picking up a few things. It's been a few weeks after that fight, so we started talking to each other a little bit, but not too much. So I'm able to talk to him again, but not a lot. So, right, I'm getting the last couple of things from the house, and I'm walking out, and I see my dad outside, right, and I pass by him, and I take the last couple of things, and then I get in my car, I put the things in my car, I drive out, right, and I see my dad, and he looks at me, and then I wave, and then he waves back, and then I drive away. I didn't know that was going to be the last time I saw him. I didn't know that was going to be the last time I ever waved at my dad. That was the last time I was ever going to be around my dad or see him again. So after I left, that was it. I didn't see him again for a whole year. I moved to my new apartment with my mom. I went to my school. I took my classes. I lived my life. I didn't text him. He didn't text me. We didn't talk. You know, my birthday came around, or no, Christmas came around, New Year's came around. He texted me. I ignored it. Then he texted me on my birthday. I replied, but then we didn't really start any conversation. But I didn't talk to him. I didn't see him. I didn't hear from him at all for a whole year. You know, I moved around Thanksgiving of 2013, and yeah, I didn't see him at all. Now, you know, it's been about a year, and it's like right now it was like February or March, yeah, February of 2015, this new year, and I was in my acting class, and my professor at the time shared with me something. I was sitting with him, and we were discussing a monologue because I do theater, so I was discussing a monologue that I wrote, and the monologue was about my dad, and I was talking to him about it, and then my professor shared with me his experience with his dad, and it inspired me, man. Oh man, it inspired me. My professor told me about his relationship with his dad and how he got into this huge fight with his dad and all this stuff, and that he didn't speak with him for 10 years, and then he started sending him letters, and he didn't get any replies back from these letters, and then he gets a call from his brother that the dad passed away. So my professor, he had those 10 years, and he didn't say a single thing to his dad. He never had the chance. He never took the chance to apologize or to forgive him or to talk to his dad. And he shared with me that, and we started crying, and it was just the most powerful thing. And after hearing that, he told me, you know, take advantage of this. If I had one more minute with my dad, he said that that's the one thing that he wanted more than anything else. If he could have some more time with his father. And he told me, you know, now is the time. He said, right now, you know, imagine what you could do. You haven't seen him in a year. Imagine what you could do with that relationship. Imagine how you could turn it around. And when I heard this, man, there was so much shift, you know. In I was like, emotions came out of me that I didn't feel I've never had before, and I was like, holy crap! I never thought about it, you know, not seeing my dad. I didn't really care, you know. I never really cried about it or thought about it, or I just ignored it. I just put it off. And I was I was thinking to myself, you know, it's fine. It's fine that I don't really talk to him. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me at all. It really didn't. Like, I wasn't like I'm in denial. Like, I never really thought about it. It would only come up in my head a couple of times when maybe somebody would mention my dad, mention father, or I would see something that would make me think of him. But that was it. I wouldn't sleep days and nights like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I never really cared. But then when I had that conversation with my professor, I started crying like crazy. I was weeping. These emotions came out of me. It was just subconscious. It was like I was pushing it down. I was like throwing it underneath the carpet subconsciously. And I didn't really, that wasn't my intention. And these emotions came out. And I was like, holy crap, you know, I miss my dad. I really, really miss my dad. I wasn't speaking my truth. I wasn't living by my truth. You know, I was hiding it. And you know what they say? The truth will set you fucking free. Oh, hallelujah! It will set you free, I'm telling you. The truth will set you free. And you may not know it's the truth because you keep telling yourself that it is the truth. But deep down inside, you know that you're not living by it. Something to chew on, just something to chew on. The truth will set you free. But that's not what we're talking about here. So after my professor shared with me this story, I was like, oh my God, I have to talk to my dad again. I didn't know when I was going to do it. I was walking back home and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to talk. I don't even know I don't even remember his phone number. I don't know if I even have his email. I don't know how to get in contact with him. I was like, I'll do it next week or something. And then when I got home, that's all I could think about was my dad. So I looked on my email, and I found his email. And I thought about it, and I'm like, I'm going to email him right now. And I did it that same day. And I emailed my dad. I told him everything that I was feeling. I told him everything that, you know, what had happened. I was like basically telling him that I forgive him and that I want to create this relationship again. And if he didn't want to do it, that's fine. At least I tried. That was the important part. At least I went out and I reached out and I tried. And mind you, this was never something that I was planning on doing. My plan was to never see him again, live the rest of my life and never see my dad again. Because I didn't like him. I thought he was toxic. I kept telling myself, I can't be with this person. I have to cut them off. They're my family, but I don't care. I don't want to be with this person. This person being in my life causes too much pain. Blah, 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 blah. I can live the rest of my life without them. Blah, 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 blah. I don't need him in my life. I don't need him in my life. I don't need him in my life. I kept telling myself that. I thought that was the truth, but it wasn't, and it isn't. It's never the truth. Again, it goes back to it. You don't have to cut someone off. You don't have to cut them out of your life just because they're different or they're toxic. You don't. If you really love them, don't do that. It's too much suffering. So I reached out to my dad. If he didn't accept my apology or my forgiveness, fine. At least I tried. At least I can die knowing that I did it. I went out and I tried. If he didn't accept it, that's fine. At least I did it, right? So I sent him this email and I said, I'm forgiving you for everything that you've done. I understand I put a label on you. You used to be someone before being my father. You weren't always a father. You were a human being before that. You know, you had a life before that. You have different beliefs than I do, different values. I don't care about that. I just want to make the best relationship on this planet with you. I want to have a father-son relationship. I really do. I want to make it an incredible one. Like, I told my dad that. I really wanted that. I really wanted to try it. I wanted to start fresh. I wanted to do a new relationship with my dad. Have a dad, you know. I was sick of not having a dad. I wanted to have one. So I reached out to him, and he emailed me back later that night, and he said, "Let's do it." And he wanted to meet me in person. So a couple weeks passed. We set a date. He has a plane. He has a little small plane. He used to be a pilot. He still is a pilot. But yeah, he has like a small plane. So he flew over to where I was staying, and we met. And I saw my dad, and it was amazing. He was like so happy to see me. He was like crying, and he was just so happy, and I was really happy. And we spent that night. We just talked and talked and talked, and we went to a restaurant. We talked and we talked, and it just felt really weird at first, but it felt so good. And then I can't begin to express the amount of weight that left my shoulders. So much, I felt like my heart like just fill up. Like I felt so fulfilled just to be able to see my dad again and like have that relationship again, just to get rid of that stress, that regret, the remorse, all this shit that was clogging me and making my life worse because I was trying to cut them off. I let him in, and that felt so good, you know. It felt so good to have my dad again in my life. Um, so after that day, after we hang out, we that wasn't the only day. I mean, he flew back to where he was staying, and then we set another date, and he came back, and we met again, and we hung out again, and then we set another date, and we hang out again. We set another date, and we hanged out again, and now we're texting, right? And we're emailing each other, and we're texting, and we're sending pictures and stuff, and we're talking again, and we're gonna hang out again. I don't know if it's this week or maybe next week or something, but he's going to fly in to see me again. As soon as the weather is not as bad as it is, he'll do that. But it's awesome, you know. I'm talking to my dad again. It's just so awesome. So basically, he what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, during the summer, I'm gonna spend about a couple of days with him where he's staying. Um, about like a week or so, and we're just gonna hang out and stuff, and we're just gonna have it and like, look, all right, that was, I can't like, all right, if you're still here and you're listening and you're watching this, please, like, if you have a relationship in your life, maybe it's a family member or something, and you just haven't forgiven them yet, or maybe there's something, look, now is the time, you know. If there's something going on, if you have something in someone in your life that you're not having a good relationship with, now is the time. Don't wait. You don't know what's going to happen. And that goes for anything. It doesn't have to just be a relationship that's bad. With anyone in your life. You don't know what will happen tomorrow, the next day. I could die tomorrow. This could be my last day on earth. You know? You don't know what will happen with people. And I'm not saying you should live in fear that they're going to die the next day and you have to do everything with that person in one day. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's not, we only have one life, and we can't get back time. We can't get it back. Unless the time machine is built at some point, we can't get it back. So why waste your time on emotions that are destructive towards you? Why waste your time living in suffering and living with this weight and regret and all this stuff, and all this stuff, you know? If there's someone in your life, love them. Love them. Be in the moment with that person. You know? Be in the moment. Live in the moment. Be present with these people. They're yours. These are people that care about you. You care about them. At one point or another, you really liked each other. You know? Just be present. That's the message. If you could just take one thing out of this, just be present. Be present in the moment. Live in the present. And I'm human, you know. everything that I'm saying, if you're watching this right now, you're like, wow, Nick, you're so inspiring, or wow, Nick, I love everything you're saying. Wow, Nick, oh my God, I'm not the perfect, like, I don't do all this. I'm not 100% on this. I'll admit it. You know, I don't do all this 100%. I'm not always present in the moment. You know, I'm not always forgiving. I'm not always understanding and appreciating someone else. Sometimes it gets to me. But I do my best. I do my best to do that. I do my very best. When I catch myself doing it, I take from it, I learn from it, and I move on and I grow. You know, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. You know, if you have a relationship in your life that is not helping you out or is making it worse or whatever, all this stuff, number one, stop judging them. Stop, you know, judging them. Understand and appreciate who they are. And I mean it. I mean really, like, understand and appreciate who they are. That's number one. Number two is be in the moment. Be present in the moment with them. Like, take from that moment and be present in that, right? And the third one is just, you know, if you have those differences with that person, take from those things. Take from those differences. Learn from those differences. All those things are going to help you. They're going to help you grow. That's what makes that's what makes the magic in a relationship. You know, as well as the commonalities, it's the differences too. It's the things that you guys don't have in common. It's like, whoa, I didn't know that. Imagine if everyone was the fucking same. Holy crap, how boring would that be? Just like literally like, oh my God, I'm sure there's a bunch of movies like that. Like Edward Scissorhands, for example. I don't know why I thought of that, but like, you know, it just would be so boring. That's what gives color and variety. It's like, oh my God, you like the color blue? I like green. Whoa, how did that work? Or wow, you like cake? I hate cake. Why do you like cake? What? You know, you like working out? I don't work out at all. Why do you like working out? And the beauty, oh man, this is where the real beauty comes from, is when those differences happen, that's where there's room for magic. That's where there's room for breakthroughs and possibility. When you have a friend that doesn't work out and you work out and you love them and you appreciate and you follow what I just said, you're in the moment with them and you appreciate and love them and understand them and all this stuff, and you don't judge them and you're always hanging out with them and loving them and stuff, and you continue to work out and be yourself and be you and be you and be you, pretty soon they'll be like, wow, I like that. I want to do that. Nick, can you teach me how to work out? Can you teach me how to change? I want to do it. They might do that. They might do that. They might become influenced by you because you're being yourself. You're owning your identity. And the way you own your identity is you come from the heart and you're in the moment and you understand and appreciate them and you love them and you stop making it about you and you drop the ego. Drop that ego. Stop justifying yourself. Stop. It's not always about you, you know. It's about, just remember your outcome. Remember why you're doing it. Remember what's the purpose of everything that you're doing. Every time, if you get into an argument, what's your outcome? Why do you like this person? What is it about them? You know. And pretty soon they will become influenced of you if you do all those things. If you are being yourself, because your actions will show up at its best. And they'll be like, wow, this person, I really want to learn from them. I really want to grow from them. And then when that happens, I mean, they'll change. And then, boom. Now they've changed. But that's not the point. That should never be the point. Let me see my notes real quick. If you get into an argument with someone, is it better to be wrong? Is it better to be right, or is it better to be happy? You know, we get into arguments with people. We're just trying to prove ourselves right and all this stuff. And just remember that, you know. Again, why are you there? What are you doing? What's your point? What's your outcome? A lot of people forget that. I'm done. That's it. That's all I have to say. That's all I wanted to share with you. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or anything, go ahead. If you have someone in your life, um, where you're dealing with where your relationship's not so strong and you want to share it with me, either you could post it right here and I'll comment or I'll reply to it right now, or you could private message me. We could really talk about it. We could schedule like a time to Skype or to call each other and stuff, and I could talk to you about it and kind of give you some advice if that's what you want. So, Sergio, if you want to like look at online on Facebook and see if anybody has anything.
Yeah, a couple people were commenting. Josh said, "Can we just appreciate Nick for a moment? I've been absolutely glued to this session. You inspire me so much, brother."
Wait, who said that?
Josh Glanville. Jose.
Oh, okay. Thanks, man.
Jose Veloso.
So sweet.
And then Ariana said, "Dude, I totally agree." Jose, dude, I agree with you in that story about him and his dad touched me, and oh my God, the feels. Nick, this is so incredible.
Thanks, man.
Ariana just posted again. Let's see what it is once I refresh it. Nick, you covered this so well with the examples and stories. There are no questions. Yeah, man, that was definitely the heaviest session by far.
No way.
That was amazing. That was so incredible.
Cool, man.
Yeah, I pretty much think you just absolutely nailed that whole entire topic in the entirety of it. Like, there can't be any questions because you got it all.
Cool, man. All right, then. I guess that's it. I mean, if any of you have, and if you're watching this, and I mean, if you really do have something in your life and like, you want to talk about it, I mean, you can message me, and I can give you more like individual feedback on it and stuff, and help you out. But that's it. That's what I really wanted to share with you guys. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that you guys got something out of it. So, yeah, man, that's it. I'll see you all at GYLS for those of you that are coming back. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right.